Welcome to the Soul Archaeology podcast, a space for connection, resonance, witnessing, and learning. Together we'll harvest medicine from the spiral of life, sharing conversations with other embodied humans who have navigated their own initiations and found alignment with their true soul essence. With weekly astrology, energy updates, embodied conversation, and channeled teachings, this is a space for you to land and find resonance with the spiral of your own soul. Hello, welcome back to Soul Archaeology. What a week it has been. Wow. To be totally honest with you, last week kind of threw me for a loop. I was not anticipating the intensity, and it really sideswiped me. I mean, I know in the last episode I talked a lot about the Gemini new moon and this duality and this contrast and how we can be with and sit with all of it at once and connect with the wholeness that can be found there rather than needing to make it black or white or make it something that it isn't, or kind of boil it or distill it down to something in order to feel safer. But it feels like ever since Saturn shifted into Aries, everything is just magnified. Everything is louder, it's bigger, it's more intense. It feels more urgent and dire. And this really is the work of Saturn and Aries, is finding connection with our sense of self-regulation, maturing through that sense of urgency and that sense of intensity, that push to do, to respond, to react, or the need to come to a conclusion quickly or make a decision. And instead, sort of sitting with it, letting it change us, shape and form us, allowing ourselves to mature through presence and patience and diligence. So that was certainly my last week. So many realizations, so many confronting pieces and parts around my own reactivity, how I respond to things, how I sort of seek that pathway of certainty. I've seen Saturn transiting over my natal Mars retrograde right now. So I'm having to temper this desire to move, to change, to initiate with patience and presence. And if you have any natal Aries placements, you're probably feeling this too. And it's a bit exacerbated as well because we've been in this Mars retrograde energy since last fall. And so much of what we're ready to initiate and create and move forward is perhaps, for some of us, still requiring some patience. So tools for self-regulation right now are everything. Creating conditions for your system to feel safe in settling, safe in waiting, safe in pausing, and then determining when and what the next right move is. And I know I mentioned it in the last episode, but June builds into this incredibly beautifully aligned, expansive month. I feel like June is the month of Jupiter, and we really start to feel this energy beginning this week. I do have to admit, last week was a little choppy. It was a little choppy. A lot was coming to the surface. It felt like a little bit of a pressure cooker, or that there were realizations, challenges, conflicts that were coming up. And most of it was internal from what I'm seeing, but trust that grit, that pressure that was being built last week is going to lead you into more clarity, acceptance, and ease throughout June. We are finally entering some more easeful waters. I think I say this in every episode, but if this is your first time listening to my podcast, then the first half of this year was slow and penetrating. It was deep and excavating. It was just really churning us and pushing and pulling We still have a little bit of that energy in June, but so much more support, so much more ease, so much more of this energy that is supportive, but not in a way that is conflicting or as pressurized. June is about pleasure. It's about joy. It's about reaping the benefits of being in the physical, of being present, reaping the benefits of all the hard work that you've done over this last 6-month period. June, we get to enjoy the fruits of our labor. We might not have the map fully formed quite yet. We might not know what's to come. We might not even have the plan laid out. But can we just pause to enjoy being alive, to enjoy being in a physical body, to enjoy the beauty that is harvested through presence, as David White says. June is about movement and alignment, synchronicity. It's a month of transition where we finally get to feel some of the forward movement of the energy that has been building for months. So I'm going to talk about the energy of this week first. And then I'm going to go a little bit into the energy of June because it is such a beautiful month and we deserve this. So I want to give you some tips and tools for how you can navigate June, what you can plan for perhaps. If you're wanting to launch something, June is a beautiful month. If you're wanting to plan a trip or a ceremony or something that's allowing you to really sink in, June is your month. So for this week, on June 3rd, we have the moon in Virgo conjunct the south node. And this is interesting because we have some south and north node energy in June. And we know the nodes are karmic. We have a full moon in Sagittarius mid-month that's going to be squaring the north and south node. So we're getting a little bit of a feeling this week for what that's going to bring forward for us, the themes. We can think back to the eclipse season in March. What themes were we navigating specifically around control, structure, clarity, safety, perfectionism, overanalysis? So the beginning of this week might feel a little confronting. We might feel that things are brought to the surface that we really need to release and let go of. And Virgo is all about refinement, discernment, crystallization, healing through structure, through the physical, through the body. So wherever you have Virgo in your chart, you're going to be on this journey for the next year as the South Node transits through this part of your chart. We're asked to look at the patterns that we cling to for safety, control, perfectionism, hyperanalysis. Virgo is ruled by Mercury, so this can look like mental looping. It can look like panic or fear when things feel out of your control. Fixing or over-explaining, over-analyzing, old survival strategies that are tied to being maybe the responsible one or the one who holds everything together. With the moon being here, it's asking for you to look at, where does this originate from? Where does this come from? What part of you is seeking attunement, safety, reassurance? I am so deep in this work, I cannot even tell you. My natal South Node is in Virgo, and I am in this work. All the places where these control mechanisms exist within me and where they originate from. And it's so deeply embedded in my somatic fabric that it oftentimes doesn't even need awareness of the mind, but simply presence with the body. So the beginning of this week, we get that oftentimes sort of sharp-edged clarity that can come with Virgo. And the invitation is to release control, to soften your grip, to trust that healing is coming through presence, not perfectionism. Can you let go of the outcome? In some ways, I feel like this transit's inviting us to let go a little bit more through the rest of June. June is not a month to grip, to control, to contort, to try to squeeze or wedge things into a box. It's a month to listen, to prepare, to enjoy, to sink, to surrender. And then on June 4th, we have Venus, which is in Aries currently, sextile Jupiter and Gemini. And this is a beautiful transit. It's inviting in connection, curiosity. This is a light-hearted, pleasure-seeking aspect. This is a great time to send an email that you've been wanting to send, to connect with someone new, to express your desires, to have a conversation perhaps with your partner that you've been needing to have. This transit is flirty, playful, and creative, spontaneous, and this is the exact energy that we're moving into through June. It's focused on pleasure, it's focused on play, and Jupiter is getting ready to shift out of Gemini. So we're getting squeezed a little bit on the lessons that we've learned over the last year with this transit, kind of moving out of this Gemini energy over the next few weeks and into this deeper, watery Cancer energy. And then on June 5th, we have Mercury in Gemini, sextile Mars in Leo. And so this is fast, quick, confident communication. These 2 days are good for conversations, action, speaking from the heart. It's a good time to have, like I said, a conversation maybe you need to have with a friend or a family member or a partner. As we move out of some of this Aries energy, we have more space to converse without aggression, without needing to make it something, without needing to make someone right and someone wrong. So while we're still in Gemini season, lean into some of these conversations. Work through your own bias, your own desire to be right, to be good, to be on a specific side, and simply remain curious, remain open, and tend to the part of you that might need that certainty. And then on June 6th, Venus enters Taurus, which is just so exciting, so lovely. This is my favorite placement for Venus. Venus is at home in Taurus and Libra, but in Taurus, it's just so sensual and physical and tactile. And if you know any Venus and Taurus people, they're beautiful, they're lovely, they're warm, they have this grounded, embodied energy. On June 6th, Venus moves into Taurus, and she'll be there until July 4th. And after the intensity of Venus in Aries that could have been reactive or possessive, intense, Venus gets to drop into slowness, embodiment, sensuality, receptivity. She gets to rest, moving into fixed earth. And Venus in Taurus wants to savor life. She speaks the language of the body in Taurus through texture, taste, scent, rhythm, rest, receiving. This is a time to root into self-worth, to re-anchor, to tend to your nervous system, your physicality, to deepen into relationships that feel stable, real, reciprocal, rooted, and grounded. The themes for this transit, which will really set the tone for all of June, include redefining within your own system what it means to feel safe, to feel held, to feel resourced, what it means to feel your body, to feel the ground beneath you, to feel your root, leaning into relationships and connections that feel real and grounded. Healing your relationship with your body, your self-worth, with pleasure, with the feminine, and tending to your relationship with money, with the safety and security that is naturally attached to money, to find enough safety within your system to actually open to receive, to expand, and to rewrite your relationship with money, abundance, self-worth. After the urgency of Venus in Aries, it was all about instinct and initiation and desire. This shift into Taurus really lets us pause and reorient, to deepen, to soften, rediscovering beauty in simplicity, in the mundane. Foods, fabrics, soil, slowness, scent, taste, and texture, and really, really tending to the nervous system. The first part of June, we still have a lot of this Gemini energy in it, but as we move into the second part of June, the energy starts to soften and deepen. And Venus in Taurus really is the ground beneath all of this energy. It gives our systems a place to pause and rest, to sink, to deepen, to reorient to beauty and presence. She reminds us that expression without embodiment really is just noise. It can be scattered. It's easy to project from that space. She teaches us that connection without presence is hollow. That insight without integration simply doesn't stick. So while June is about motion and movement, conversation, networking, play, and pleasure, Venus in Taurus really says regulate first, presence first, land in your body, come back to the root before you reach externally. When I think about Venus in Taurus, I think about silk fabrics. I think about juicy stone fruit. I think about soft grass beneath my feet, a cool breeze on a warm day, the smell of jasmine, and oil on my skin after a shower. It's all about presence and embodiment. And like I said, it really sets the tone for the rest of June. It grounds and anchors us and gives us footing. Taurus season this year was a little bit scattered. So as Venus slips into the sign, we receive some recalibration and stabilization in the realms of relationships, money, worth, values. And the rest of June is really a deepening. The beginning of June, the first week and a half, really is about recalibration of the mind and the body. And the second half of June really invites us to drop into the heart. We move into water and earth, Venus in Taurus, Jupiter in Cancer, Mars in Virgo. This month is a sacred pause, an opportunity to recalibrate from the mind to the heart, spiraling inward, deeper into the heart. This month is about integration, truly integrating all of what we've experienced and gathered and felt over the last 6 months. June is a homecoming, returning home to your values, your body, your needs, your center, not necessarily returning to what's familiar, but what's true and real. So throughout the month, we have these different activations. On the 8th, Mercury enters Cancer, which is going to root and ground from this mental stimulation of Gemini into the heart of Cancer, our emotional body, our feelings. And then on June 9th, Jupiter enters Cancer, where it's exalted. This is going to feel so much better. Jupiter in Gemini has been simply unhinged. We have been inundated with data and information. As it enters Cancer, we get to just expand the heart, to return home, to expand through emotional safety, nourishment, family, belonging, and intuition. This is a time to expand our emotional capacity. And I'll talk more about this transit in the next episode. And then on June 11th, we have a full moon in Sagittarius, which is squaring the north and south node, like I said before. So there's this resurfacing of some of the karmic data that surfaced during eclipse season. We're halfway between the last eclipse and the next eclipse this fall. And then on June 15th, we have Mars in Leo squaring Uranus in Taurus. We also have our third Jupiter-Saturn square. And this time Jupiter's squaring not only Saturn, but also Neptune. And it's in Cancer and Aries rather than Gemini, and Pisces, like it was last time. So this is a little bit tense. This is where we get mid-month into some of the more intense energies, but June is a month of push and pull, but we have more forward momentum. We have more softening and deepening integration. And then on June 17th, Mars enters Virgo, finally leaving behind this heavy weighted retrograde energy that Mars has been carrying since October. And then on June 20th, we have the sun entering Cancer. We have the summer solstice. On June 24th, we have a Jupiter cazimi in Cancer, which is going to be expansive, auspicious. And then this beautiful new moon in Cancer on June 25th. So the energy kind of peaks mid-June. We have this conflict and pressure of the squares between Mars and Uranus and Jupiter and Saturn and Neptune. And then we soften into this Cancer season at the end of the month. So June is fertile. It's embodied, emotionally resonant. Beautiful timing to launch something, to begin something new, to start sharing something new. Beginning of the month. The middle of the month's a little bit destabilized with the full moon squaring the nodes, and then we have the squares between Saturn and Jupiter and Neptune and Mars and Uranus. And then towards the end of the month, we have this beautiful alignment with the Jupiter cazimi, the new moon in Cancer. So let this month hold you as you recalibrate, as you sink deeper, as you really sort through your values, your desires, your truth. Come home to the center of you. Come home to your body. Come home to the rituals and practices that soften and invite beauty into your life. So the card that I pulled from the Untamed Elemental deck for the Soul Archaeology community today is the Sage card. And I love this. It's in the Ether section of this book, and it's also on page 111. And I feel like this is a very specific message for some of you. And Sage is all about purification. She willingly transforms into ember in the name of sacramental cleansing. She is a living ceremony, charged with protection and the unmitigated desire to let go. She burns, clarifying and cleansing interference and toxic spirits from her surroundings. She purifies all, even herself. Sage is native to high desert ecosystems and perfectly embodies their grounding qualities. With your aligned intentions, she will gladly hasten your positive transitions and clarify your purpose and vision. Sage indicates the timeliness of purification. With your intention to clear cluttered energies from the spaces of your body, mind, emotions, home, and altar, she will, by her ashen solemn plume, unveil a new blessing. Enlist Sage to accelerate your purification process. Ask her to surge toward your senses with her delicate strains of perfumed smoke. The overall clarity and groundedness that this ritual brings will be its own reward. When it's balanced, you feel clear, harmonious, and grounded. When it's imbalanced, you might feel depressed, chaotic, conflicting energies that create confusion. To bring into balance, intentionally clear your physical spaces every day. I loved the message from that card and think that it's really aligned with this season, with reorienting and grounding and cleansing and just sort of delineating where we are. I am opening my one-on-one mentorship container for the summer. So I've been doing some clarity calls. I'm so excited about inviting in some new people into this container with me. This is a very in-depth, intimate one-on-one space where we navigate the spiral of your own soul. I've worked with hundreds of women within this container, and it is so profound, the transformation that occurs. And I really created this container to help guide women through transition and transformation. Those portals where you're moving from one thing to the next, one chapter to another. There's so much medicine within those spaces, but it can oftentimes be tricky to orient, to know where you are, what you need to be working on, or what's calling you. So this container serves as a vehicle and a space to be seen and witnessed in your deepest layers. We combine somatic healing with intuitive and quantum healing. So merging the quantum with the physical, getting into the deep subconscious layers, the why behind what you're doing, the patterns that you're moving out of, what you're shifting out of. This is a container to rewire and a space to truly come home to yourself, but in a deeper way than before. If you're interested, you can book a clarity call. I'll link it in my show notes. We'll be beginning in early July. I'm so excited to open this again and to be working with some new beautiful humans. Thank you, as always, for being here, for your presence, for your beauty, for your shares, for your emotions, for your depth. I appreciate each and every one of you so much. I have an exciting announcement coming soon. I am launching my North and South Node course called Inner Compass over the next few weeks, so be sure to look out for that. I am also linking the codes for Kamana, the mesquite coffee alternative that I've been using, and I am obsessed with it. I actually brought it to the Midwest with me. It's so incredible. It's so delicious. It's the perfect amount of depth of flavor without any of the side effects of coffee. Being a no stimulant girl, this is essential for me because I love to have a morning ritual. I love to have my froth milk in a morning beverage, but I just can't do coffee, even though I really am obsessed with it. I love the smell. I love the taste. This has been just the absolute perfect alternative. And it also has beautiful health benefits as well. So that's such a win for me. I have the 15% off code in the show notes. And there's a link there that will bring you directly to their website. I also have codes for Pound Jewelry, my friends that make incredible crystal jewelry with such intention and love and presence. And also the link for my friend Olivia's brand, Earth Archive, incredible rainforest face oil, which is just so Venusian. It's so Venusian and it smells absolutely amazing. It's incredibly moisturizing, which is something that I'm always looking for. And I have a discount code for that in the show notes as well. So thank you. I love you. I'm so happy you're here. If you don't mind sharing this with a friend, a family member, sharing on social media, all of that helps me so much because I do this podcast without sponsorship. So sharing helps me continue and helps it to grow. So I always appreciate it. And I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful week. Happy June. Happy Venus and Taurus. And I'll see you next week.